Greetings, traveler, I'm SnapJelly, and something that I've seen up in the comments quite a lot over the course of my channel is questions about left-handed swordsmanship. And a while ago I saw the same question in like a HEMA Facebook group that I'm a part of, people asking about left-handed swordsmanship and ambidextrous and how well that goes. So I figured I'm gonna talk about that today, but first I gotta say, guys, November is officially over, so that means the beard is gonna go. Alright, back in a sec. What? I said I was gonna shave the beard, alright? I'm keeping the stache. That's right. I have a Hogan mustache now. This is my new look. I'm gonna roll with this until I die.
I like it. It looks manly.
Alright. Left-handed swordsmanship. That is what I was talking about. Now, I wanted to talk about this largely because I am left-handed, but not really. I'm a little ambidextrous. Can you be a little ambidextrous? I don't know. As a kid, we were always like, we always thought that I was left-handed, but over the course of my life, I figured out that I'm, with most things at least, I can do them with both hands. Similarly, like I can write with both hands in an equally unreadable fashion. I can, use chopsticks with both hands, but the thing is, I do prefer certain hands for certain tasks. Like writing, I can do with both hands, right? But I prefer writing with my left hand. I just naturally grab a pen with my left. And using chopsticks, I like my right hand better, and I can use chopsticks with both, but I just naturally grab chopsticks with my right. When boxing, I stand with my right foot forward, meaning I'm a left-handed boxer. Guns, like pistols, I grab with my right hand, but rifles I grab the left-handed way, and bows I shoot the right-handed way. Now, things like tennis, for example, tennis and badminton, I use my left hand, but sword fighting, I use my right hand. Now, the thing is, I kinda purposefully chose to use my right hand in sword fighting as a teeny tiny baby child. You see, when I was, I believe, 13 years old and I went to my first LARP, I had nothing but a sword, just one single-handed sword, that's all I had. And I used that sword in my left hand because I was a lefty, right? That was just comfortable for me, I had nothing else and I just used that sword in my left hand, that was what I did. Now, when I went to my second LARP, however, I got myself a shield. Now, at that point in time, people were all like, oh, you have such an advantage because you can use your shield in your right hand and your weapon in your left, and that was an advantage, people said, but I didn't really agree with them because after my first LARP, I discovered things like historical manuals and stuff like that, and I wasn't part of a HEMA group yet back then, but I tried to figure stuff out on my own with my LARP sword in my room. And at that point, I was like, I figured out that the historical manuals, they always showed people using their sword the right-handed way. And I already kind of thought at that point, like, I would have to mirror everything, and I already figured out that some binds didn't really work that well if one person did it left-handed and the other person was right-handed. So I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna try them out the right-handed way. And that went pretty well for me, actually. Now, when I went to a LARP again, was about a year later, I got myself a shield, a LARP shield, of course, and people were like, oh, you have such an advantage, because your sword arm is at the spot where your opponent's shield is not, so you can attack your opponent's weapon arm. But I was like, yeah, but my opponent can do the exact same thing, right? Our shields are on the same side, right? So if I can attack his sword arm, he can attack my sword arm as well. And I already figured out at this point that LARP fighting is so extremely basic that really doesn't give you an advantage by any means. It's just, so I figured, and especially in shield walls, if you do a shield wall in LARP, you got two swords on like elbows poking together on the sides. It doesn't really help. So I just figured, you know what, I'm just gonna use my shield the normal way and I'm gonna hold it in my left hand. So I had my weapon in my right hand from that point on. And that went pretty well. I never took my shield down because my shield was incredibly light, right? So I was just basically, except for when I was eating, I was just constantly holding it. I was just holding it in my hand all the time. So I didn't screw that up, like accidentally put it on my wrong hand or something like that. I was just holding it in my left hand constantly, and when there was a battle, I drew my sword in my right, and that's how I went on. So when I eventually, a little while later, started doing stage choreography, and after that HEMA, and after that reenactment, it wasn't really a problem for me. I was still a lefty predominantly. I do most things with my left hand, but I just hold swords with my right. Now, the point that I want to make with this video is not that I'm not trying to tell you that if you are a lefty, that you should use your right hand. Absolutely not, because that's not the case. You should use the hand that's comfortable for you, because that's more important than it's not that bad that you can perhaps do some things not correctly because you use your different hand. If you are more comfortable using your left hand, then use your left hand. Simple as that. There were also some, not an awful lot, but some like left-handed sabers found in history. But so historically it happened as well. If you want to use your left hand, you can use your left hand. It's not a big deal. However, I will say though that I am honestly kind of glad that I'm a right-handed fighter now, because at this point I just naturally grab swords with my right hand, and I can't fight with my left at this point anymore. And I mean, well, I guess I am a little better with my left hand than right-handed people are, but it really doesn't change anything. It's so uncomfortable, and it's strange too, because like I just said, like when I play tennis and I make a swing, whang, and then I can only really do that with my left hand. I can't hit the ball if I use my right. However, if I make that exact same movement with a sword, it feels really uncomfortable. And on the other hand, like when I use a sword and I do cutting tests or whatever, I cut with my right hand. If I would make that exact same movement with a tennis racket or a badminton racket, it just feels uncomfortable. And it's really strange. So I think that most of it is just in here. You know, it's because it shouldn't matter that much. I should be able to do it with both hands if you think about it. But or like throwing stuff, like throwing axes, knives, and spears and javelins and all that. I can only throw stuff with my left hand. I can't throw things with my right, like not even balls or like footballs or anything. I just can't. If I use my right hand, it doesn't work. Think about I'm getting a bit sidetracked here. What I'm meaning to say is, people always say that being a left-handed fencer, a good left-handed fencer, is an advantage. I don't agree with that. And here's why. The only real reason why it could be an advantage is if it confuses your opponent. And I would say that an experienced fencer should not be confused about that. Because the thing is, if you get an attack from a certain side, right, you just have certain ways of defending that attack. It doesn't matter what hand your opponent is holding his sword in. If you get an attack from this side and this angle, you have certain ways of defending it. And it doesn't matter how your opponent is holding his sword. What matters is that you block that attack from that angle and you keep your point in line with your opponent and stab him simultaneously, or something like that. So I wouldn't really say it's an advantage, really. One thing that I would say though, that's something that people in my club do, and I argue with them all the time about, because we have some left-handed people in our club, right? And when people, the left-handed people, they tend to get confused, because if the teacher gives an example, he's doing it right-handedly, and then they have to mirror it in their head. So the left-handed people, they get like information after that, and then the teacher does it the left-handed way. But when left-handed people are doing techniques, right, the teacher is also using a sword in his left hand against those left-handed people, and that's a mistake. I truly think that's a mistake, because those left-handed people are gonna predominantly fight against right-handed people. And you as a right-handed fencer are gonna have to get used again to fighting left-handed people. So, if you're training left-handed people, and you are purposefully also using your left hand to train those left-handed people, right, when you're fighting against left-handed people, even though you normally don't do that, you're not really helping them. What are those left-handed people gonna do in a tournament? They're gonna march up with their sword in their left hand and they're gonna go like, oh, sorry, I'm left-handed, so could you switch? I never trained against a right-handed person before, so could you, thank you. That's not gonna happen. Your opponent's gonna use his right hand, you're gonna use your left, and that's just what's happening. So, if you're training a left-handed person, right, if you're doing techniques against a left-handed person or whatever, use your right hand, use the hand that you're comfortable with, always. So, in the end, it doesn't really matter. I think people make this a bigger deal than it really is. Left-handed fencing is just, well, it's pretty much the same. You use very much the same techniques. Some are a bit more difficult, some don't really work right with the footing that you should do and stuff like that, but it's not big a deal. The basic stuff, it's all the same. There's plenty of binds that you can still manage with your left hand, even if your opponent is right-handed. Especially with a longsword, it really does not change an awful lot, because most guards, actually almost all guards actually, you can do both ways. Like you can do a right Vomtag, you can do a left Vomtag. So all that would really change is the position of the hands. And it would still be the same. You know, it doesn't matter. Same with Ox, you can do an Ox both ways. So if you freaking hold your hands this way, does it change anything? No, it doesn't change all that much. So if you want to use your left hand, use your left hand. Use whatever hand is comfortable for you. That's the thing. If you stuck around this long, you might as well subscribe and also follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. And if this video gets 300 likes, I will keep the mustache forever. And thank you for joining my quest, and I hope you'll join me in the next one. Bye, guys.